Well, welcome to the show.
This is our view from the bench.
Well, welcome to the show. Happy Monday. I'm Brendan, the 8th substitute for our local 3-on-3 pickup team.
And I'm Corey, a caddy for the JV golf team. And like Brendan said, happy Monday. Welcome back.
Happy Monday. Yeah. How was your weekend, dude?
It was all right. I worked the Lost 80s live concert on Saturday and going into it, knew like no artists by their names, but realized as walking around the arena while working it that I actually knew some of the songs by like hearing it, but did not ever realize who sang the song. So like I learned Two of Hearts is sang by Stacey Q. That is definitely something I never knew before.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. That's like one of those things where you're like, you have to hear the song in order to know which one it is. You may not recognize it by just a name that you weren't around for, right?
So, yeah, which when there's 12 artists in 3.5 hours, it tells you everybody's got like 20 minutes max. So you probably have like one hit wonders basically playing most of this as what I basically learned from that. So, but it was other than that,
that's all they have then.
Yeah, I slept all day Sunday basically because I got home super late from the concert of working it. And then just getting ready for the show. So how was your weekend?
It was good, man. That's pretty much what I did on Saturday was chill. Took the wifey's car to get some stuff updated and repaired, just like normal checkup stuff on her car. Made some breakfast and then took a nap right away. It was a very, very lazy day. And then Sunday, pretty much the same, hung out with Laffy, and we watched the Little League World Series final, which we'll talk about soon. Yeah. It was a great game. But yeah, other than that, just kind of relax. Back to work, good old Monday. So.
Yep, good old Monday, back to work, like you said, man. I was at a day shift today, so back at it. But now we're gonna go into some playoffs with the baseball. That's the playoff chase is what we're about 4.5, 5 weeks away, I think, from playoff time, and things are getting crazy.
Yeah, everybody's got like about less than 40 games left, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think that's what we're about. And I know the Diamondbacks are losing right now to the Dodgers, which is not helping us in the wild card chase. But let's start in the AL East with Tampa and Baltimore, just going back and forth, battling for the AL East title. This is just one, with the way Tampa started so hot, I never thought anybody would have a chance to catch them. But now that Baltimore is ahead of them and actually Tampa has just been playing terrible in the second half, it's kind of crazy to think that Baltimore might actually hang on and get the number 1 seed in the American League after all this.
Yeah, after starting like we talked about the last in an earlier episode, coming from almost worst to first kind of story in one season, not necessarily over a progression of a longer period of time, just in one season is pretty cool. So, cool story. We'll see how they fare in the postseason. I feel like these things can happen though in baseball because it is that sport that's an individual sport where as much as chemistry is helpful and you hope that the people get along, really as everybody is just doing their job and is talented and can make what they do click, it should work. So that's kind of cool thing about baseball is you don't need to like build that like you do with basketball where every single play and each angle and corner needs to be kind of mapped out in practice so you know where everybody's going to be at exactly what time and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of interesting to see.
Absolutely. And that's what makes baseball the best when it comes to playoff time. Like I love October baseball. Every single pitch matters. Although this year it might be different if they're still going to have the pitch clock in the playoffs because it's going to make everything up, a little more fast paced compared to what we're used to come playoff time.
Yes, true. So that's good. That's good. We have some info about that. Stay tuned about the whole pitch clock stuff. That's actually some interesting thing. I like the implementation of it. So I'm excited to see. I guess for October baseball, I guess it is kind of nice to have it be nice and slow because it kind of sometimes maybe it's a little bit too long and it carries on, but it kind of keeps you in that moment. As opposed to needing to like rush through it. I feel like a lot of life is rushed. And it was nice that baseball was the sport that you had that wasn't with a clock. Mm-hmm. So now that they've implemented it again, for regular season games, it does make the very long season more enjoyable. But there's something about like just all of that exact moment and being in it for however long it is because the batter steps out and then the pitcher just kind of takes his time. And so many different like intricacies in it is kind of fun. So that'll be a little bit lost, but it's still exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's what makes like playoff baseball that crazy because everything is if you can slow it down. And at the end of the day, like it's a game, but it's also an entertainment product. And for an entertainment on TV wise, everything drawn out, everything taking longer. Like you said, pitchers throwing over to first just to check on them and draw it out, or let somebody get warm in the pin out of the pin to get ready for them to come in later or quicker than they thought. Like all that stuff comes into play when you go into the playoffs like that. So I'm kind of hoping they might take it away. I don't know if that's the talk or not, but it would be great to see.
Right, extremely long mound visits, right, where they've just really asking what they're doing after at the end of the night, if they're what they're going to order for room service and stuff like that. And not really talking about the game. There's not that much to talk about. This guy's pretty good at hitting the fastball, so make sure you pitch him low and away outside. Okay.
Yeah, don't throw.
Anyways, so we're just trying to make this guy get warmed up. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then
So,
I mean, like I said,
but yeah, it's
those
good. It's gonna be
two.
interesting.
It's Tampa and Baltimore at the East. That's basically the battle. We look at the Central.
Ten
And
and a half
AL.
games back for Toronto is a little too much. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna make it. They might win a wild card spot, but they're definitely not gonna catch the division. And then, like I said, go to the AL Central with the Twins. They're leading it. They're not a great team. When you look at them on paper, their roster doesn't really jump out at you, but they are top 8 as far as like ERA and all of baseball. So if the pitching can hang and they can score enough runs, which I think they're like 20 in the MLB, so they're right. I'm sorry, 15th. So they're right there. That like if they can just hang and
That's good.
score and also not allow very much on the pitching side, maybe they actually can do an upset in the first round and go farther than most people think.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. I mean, I have no skin in the game. I don't really care. The Twins could be good. That's cool.
Yeah,
But it's fun to see different teams up there. This is why I guess I care in that sense, because it's always the same team. Now, the AL Central, it's not necessarily always the same teams because that's a mix. But as far as the playoffs in general, it seems to be a mix of the same team. So down to get the Twins some run.
yeah, and the Twins have been pretty good in that division the last few years. Since the Guardians have kind of taken their downslope, and I mean, the Guardians are the closest team, but they're like a couple games under 500, so they're definitely I don't think going to be able to catch Minnesota unless they get hot here. Like I don't know, like maybe Seattle is in the AL West. My gosh, they just won again tonight.
Did they really? What was the final? Oh, they beat the A's though. Not too bad, but still, I mean, a win's a win. You got to win.
7-0 is a good win.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Now, I'm gonna give you like a rundown real quick because I was doing a bunch of research because honestly, the Mariners were really intriguing to me when we were talking about this because they were just so far back and it wasn't too long ago. So, excluding the win tonight, Monday, we're going to talk about all the other games. In the last 10, they're 9-1. So if we include that, they're now 10-1 in the last 11. They're 29-12 since the All-Star break, and they have 2 8-game winning streaks in those 29 wins. An 8-game chunk. Now, honestly, it's kind of crazy. In the middle of those 8 games, it's 8 wins, 3 straight losses, and then 8 straight more wins. So it's and they're in the midst of a winning streak now too. They're close to, including tonight, they're close to actually being 10-0 in their last 10 because that one loss is probably 7 or 8 games ago. So yeah, they're making a run like crazy. Do you think they can hold on now that they're up tonight? Looking at their lead here, they're a half game up on both of them. Do you think that they can keep that lead?
It's hard. I mean, Houston and Texas are both really good, and obviously Houston's been the champion the last probably 5 or 6 years in the Western Division. So it's theirs
Yeah.
until somebody takes it away from them. But at this point, I feel good about Seattle, but I'm also like, is it too early for them? And are they going to peak and then falter down where then Houston, who makes a late run, actually ends up taking over the division?
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, half game is nothing. So
Yeah,
to your
exactly.
point, it's not like can they catch up? I mean, if they win tomorrow and the Mariners lose tomorrow, then they already take the lead. So it's
Yeah.
just that simple, obviously. But it's so yeah, I mean, and they have the pedigree to do it. So it's definitely not over. Obviously, with as many games as there are left, it's far from it. I'm curious though, how much they play each other going forward this season, as far as the games themselves.
Yeah, that's true. Because
Because
obviously at this
so they
point in
don't play
time,
today. Let me see
they're probably
something.
going to play him, I would think, at least one more time between now and the end of the season. I know they don't play
Ooh,
too
they
much.
have the Rangers. Rangers 6 more games. They literally
Oh,
finish against those 2 teams their last 9 games. At
whoa.
Rangers, at Rangers, at Rangers, and then they host the last 6 against the Astros and then Rangers again.
Wow.
Whew. So that's good, dude. To
So
me, obviously, it comes down to these series,
yeah, absolutely. But man, that's going to be
unless
that could
somebody
be one of
builds this
those.
crazy league amongst these.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
otherwise, it could come down to the last day, and winner takes the division, and loser is a wild card spot, and then I mean, we could be playing who knows who's going to play who until the last day,
very true.
which would not be a bad thing. I'd actually make it more
It'll be exciting.
exciting. But
Exactly.
staying in
That's
the
what you want
AOS,
to do. Do you think all three make the playoffs?
I mean, right now they definitely could, right? I mean, Toronto's a couple games out of the wild card still. I think. I mean, it's Tampa and Baltimore. Whoever doesn't win the division automatically is going to win the top wild card spot because even they're way ahead of the next wild card, which is these guys. But I mean, Houston and Texas right there. Toronto's behind them 2.5. Yeah, actually, yeah, I think they could. I think all three of them could. And if Seattle can't hold on a
Don't
division, I
get
think
too into
at
it.
least hang on to the wild card spot.
True, true. You want to cover? Let's cover this now. Let's cover this now. I know we're. Let's cover this now. Let's see what the wild card picture looks like. I'd love to kind of have like a visual here for
Yeah,
everybody
let's
here.
do it.
So, like you were talking about, they have Seattle leading right now. They have Texas and Houston taking both of the wild card spots with a 2.5 game lead over Toronto. So, if everything were to go as is, it looks like three representatives from the AL West. Unfortunately, not the one with Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani will be in the American League playoffs.
See, but not only that, if Seattle does somehow end up winning the division, whoever wins the West, they're so much better than the Central because the Twins are basically the only team above 500, like we talked about. That they're also going to get the second seed, which gets you a first round bye, I believe, right?
Yes, yeah, both 1 and 2, as we were looking at, get the bye, and then 3 would play 6 and 4 would play 5
So
with
then,
no reseeding. That's what you saw in the article, right? There's
yeah,
no
there's no
reseeding in
reseeding.
baseball
Yeah.
after this one. Okay.
But if you're Seattle, if you're going from maybe being a wild card team to hosting the first round in your stadium, like that's a huge thing. And they have a great crowd. I know it went back when Felix Hernandez and stuff was there, they had a huge crowd. So when they're good, the people in Seattle, I mean, they're the same people who root for the Seahawks, and those people are nuts when they go. The 12th man is a thing. So if they can get that crowd packed and they have a home game or a home series, maybe they make some noise and actually get to an ALCS.
Yeah, and I don't even think that they not that they don't need the crowd, but it's probably I feel like they're just like on such a roll, and they can
Yeah.
keep if they can keep it moving and stuff. And I don't know, I've never been to Seattle, but the West Coast is beautiful in October, so
Yeah.
it's probably gonna be such a nice setting, even just for to have a playoff series. I mean, I know that they go back and forth as a series, so it's gonna be whatever they're in. It's gonna be up in Seattle, anyways. But having them being the main host, I guess you could say, the one with
Yeah.
4 games. So
Yeah, I really
yeah,
hope
that'd
that
be
Seattle
interesting.
makes it. I love that team. So there's a lot of good pieces. And I mean, kind of tying into another piece or a person from the AOS, like, does that mean maybe obviously there's some bad news with Otani and his arm, but if he's still going to free agency, does that maybe open up Seattle as more of a possibility now?
Why not? Yeah, I mean, it's being suggested after he tears his UCL in his pitching arm. It seems to be requiring Tommy John surgery. He's seeking second opinions right now, and it's going
Of
to
course.
continue to hit, even with the tear. But it let's just assume that he ends up getting it. This is actually going to be a second one. The first one he got was in 2018, which, to your point, obviously really hurts his free agency dollar value because his ceiling was just climbing and climbing and climbing. The
Yeah.
more home runs and the lower his ERA and lower his opponent's batting averages. So his payday was growing, but this obviously puts a huge dampening on it. I don't know if that means, and I'm pretty sure it does, that it means it opens up even more teams than originally thought because the value, not that he's not valuable, I don't mean that in any rude
Yeah.
way, obviously. I'm a huge fan, but I mean, as far as what teams will actually be willing to pay, will be a little bit less, knowing that his pitching arm, which is one of the main reasons why you're going to pay this overpriced because you're getting a great pitcher. I won't say like elite. I wouldn't put him up in saying that, but he's great and someone that can come and knock 50 home runs for you at the same time and DH for you on a nightly basis. So that brings it down, which I do think opens it up to that. And we talked about in a previous episode that culture of even having just a star Japanese player there play previously in Ichiro, right?
Yeah, and like Shohei was there for the All-Star break and said that he's already spent a couple off seasons up there, so he obviously is comfortable with the area. So I mean, again, if the amount of money, like you said, it's not that he's not worth the money, but because of the injury, obviously they're going to be able to offer a lot less. So maybe that makes other teams more like even Texas. Maybe Texas has an opportunity because Jake
Yeah.
DeGrom is going to be out all of next year with his Tommy John. So if you can get Shohei to come in and still bat next year, and he doesn't pitch until the following year, him and DeGrom come back at the same time, and then obviously by then Scherzer's already gone. Maybe that's their two-headed snake going forward. Like that's just something that you have to like think what teams are going to think that far ahead, even if it's not for next year because he can only bat. But if he does go back to pitch, and then the other question is, even if he does come back to pitching, by the time he does, he'll be 31
Hmm.
basically. Does he then like maybe move him into more of a reliever role?
Yeah, or like maybe even like short-term starter. I feel like they have those now. Like
Yeah,
maybe throw him out
that's
there for
me.
like 4 innings, knowing that he doesn't, and then it's just those nights where you give him. Or to your point, I mean, I like it. Can you come in if you're DHing? Can you move from DH to pitcher,
I
like
mean,
to relieve?
they'd have to make a rule for him if it's not already allowed, right? But they've already made all these rules for him because
Yeah.
he's the unicorn of this at this point. So they're just kind of making these new rules
Yeah.
to fit allowing him to do both. But I would assume so because okay, there was a time where I remember watching. This was probably like 7 or 8 years ago. I was watching a Diamondbacks game
Mhm.
and they were playing Houston, I think, and they had a left-handed pitcher on the mound. They changed pitchers and brought a right-hander in. Okay, so he comes in. Then the next pit batter, they come up. They go back to the mound. They take the right-handed pitcher and they put him in right field. They take the right fielder off. They bring another pitcher out of the bullpen. The pitcher pitches and gets the second out. They go back out to the mound. They pull that guy and they bring the guy back from right field to the mound
Okay,
and
that's
then
what I
put
thought you were gonna
somebody
say.
else into right field. And then that guy pitches and gets put out.
Dang.
And I was like, wait a minute. So I called my
Well, then
dad.
yeah,
I called my dad. I was like, "Can you do that?" He's like, "As long as you're still on the field and you're changing positions, you can do whatever you want." Like he was never taken out of the game. I'm like, I never thought you
it's
could put. I mean, I guess
true.
they put position pitchers in it to pitch when the game's out of control. So I guess you're allowed to just
Right.
whoever there at any time as long as they haven't been taken off the field yet.
That's a really cool story that you got to watch something like that because that's
I
so
was
unique. I've
tripping.
obviously never seen something like that because we're sitting here confused that you could even do something like that. So,
Exactly, and I wasn't
um,
like I was like putting
excited
it on.
right, exactly. So excited to see if that's a thing. That'd be something that Otani could probably do. Get him to learn how to play first base and then have him come. Can you imagine, dude, if you just like keep
Okay,
switching
that would
him
be the
and stuff,
ultimate.
like get him to pitch to a couple of pit and
That would be the ultimate. If you can get him
then
to
just put him back at first?
put him as a closer, get him like 2 years to
Hmm.
get 50 saves, right? And then he becomes the first person to have 50
Yeah,
saves, 50 home runs, whatever, all craziness. And then when he's too old to pitch, like you said, move him to first base, and then watch he'll get a Gold Glove from first base. That's what he'll do. He'll
perfect.
get, he'll get a Gold Glove, and
There you
then
go.
he'll win another Silver Slugger as a DH, and he'll just keep killing it.
Hmm. What I'm saying is he should play first base, then come in to pitch to a couple people, then go back to first base, right? Then
Sounds
gives
good.
him arm a rest a little bit, then he goes back real quick, pitches to another couple people, goes back to first. That'd be crazy, man. Otani's
Man,
crazy like that.
dude, it's too bad
So
Joe
does he get
Madden.
less? Obviously, he's getting less then. Wait, what?
Too bad Joe Madden's not coaching, like some weird guy that would do crazy things like that with a lineup or something. It's weird.
He would. Yeah, I agree. He would. Yeah, gone now. Thanks for your services, but
Yeah,
yeah, would have before. I bet though. I believe
would have been fun to watch.
you. Right. So Otani making less money. Obviously, his ceiling's down from the 700-800 millions, like what they were talking about. I'm guessing.
Yeah, I'm guessing probably no
Give him
10-year
getting less.
deals. Probably more like at this point, I would even say like a 5-year max. I mean, and then if you want, obviously, if he's going to have the Tommy John and take a year off of pitching and only batting, then maybe you can build some like incentives into the contract where if he does make 10 starts in a season, he gets an extra 10 million or whatever the amount they agree upon. So that way, if he does end up becoming a pitcher like he was before after the surgery, then he'll still make money off of a two-way player. But in the meantime, at least he'll make probably 25, 30 million alone just as a batter.
Yeah, that's true. I can see him doing that.
Maybe it'd be fun.
Something to see, man. I hope he recovers fully, but I guess we'll see. What actually happens. It's gonna be. I don't know. I just hope everything happens great. I hope if he gets surgery, which I'm thinking will happen, I hope it goes well. I hope he recovers quickly. I hope he recovers fully. And I don't know. I hate seeing talent wasted like that in any sport just for fucking injury. It sucks to see. So
Yeah, that's the worst part is injuries
praying
and
for speedy recovery, bud.
ultimately wins, unfortunately.
Yeah, 100%. So okay, well let's move on. Moving on to the National League then. We'll
Two
start
of
with the
them
NL East. We
done.
can kind of couple the NL East and the NL West together, right?
Done.
Kind of out of control already.
Both teams are at least
Yeah,
12
13
games
games
up.
almost
Yeah,
respectively.
exactly. It's out of control. Atlanta is so good. The Dodgers unfortunately are good again, so they're right on top. I don't know if in the long run I think the Braves will still hold on and keep the 1 seed, but at this point I wouldn't be shocked if they have a rough week and the Dodgers somehow jump over them and ultimately take over as the 1 seed. But they'll both be the 1 and 2 and get a bye. It'll just be a matter of who they're going to be playing through the wild card round at that point.
Yeah, after the while. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty much running away with it. It doesn't even matter what anybody in the NL Central does. They're too far back. We'll see when we go over to the other one how much. But I mean, 74 wins to 85 wins. That's roughly 11 or 12 games right now. So they're, the same thing. We got the Diamondbacks though here. Hey, still in second place,
Wild
holding hard. I
card.
actually have a little bit of a not a bet because it's not really we didn't bet anything on it. But I have a little whiteboard at work. I have one of my colleagues, the girl who's on my team, she's a Dodger fan,
There you go.
and we have like little predictions that we had throughout for the season. So my prediction was that the Diamondbacks would come in second place. So
Ooh,
they're only a
okay.
half game up right now, but I'm hoping that they can hold on to my little prediction. So
Hey, we
we'll
got a
see.
chance. The Giants are not that good right now either, so we got a chance.
Yeah, it should boil down to those two at the end, and we'll see hopefully what the wild card looks like. The Brewers are up 4 games on the Cubs, 6 on the Reds. It seems like as long as everything kind of keeps flowing, this one should go to Milwaukee. But I know that both the Cubs and the Reds are really vying for wild card spots as well. Anybody you think Milwaukee's slipping? I know
Uh,
everybody always has a chance, but
yeah, yeah.
what do you
Which
think's actually happening?
okay, when we first started looking at the NL Central, I was like, "Oh, Milwaukee's just gonna walk away with this. Like, I don't expect anybody to really chase." And then I started looking at the numbers, and the Cubs' offense is like 10th best when it comes to OPS in all of baseball, and the Brewers are 25th.
Oh
So
wow.
if the Cubs'
Oh,
offense can keep rolling and actually win some games, and the Brewers somehow stumble because of their offense being terrible, 4 games is not that hard, and I'm sure they're going to have at least one more set against each other of 3 games, which could turn the whole thing upside down. So I kind of actually think the Cubs might somehow sneak in and pull off the Central win, but we'll see. I don't know.
that'd be sweet. That'd be
It's
sweet.
going to be interesting to see if the Chicago can. I mean, they're pretty young as far as like I know Cody Bellinger's there. I'm trying to think. Ian Happ. It's Stroman's the pitcher for them. I think Kyle Hendricks is still there from their World Series winning team. But beyond that, I don't really know much about the Cubs or who's all there. But if they can make a run with this offense and sneak in, then hopefully their pitching can show up. Because if they got Hendricks and Stroman at the top, you really only need 3 starters in the playoffs.
Very true. I actually haven't been. I mean, I know I don't pay attention as closely to baseball as you, but I haven't really been hearing about the Cubs. I actually hear more. The most I hear, maybe it's because of Ellie De La Cruz, but the most I hear out of this division is about the Reds. I know they made a crazy run to kind of start being competitive, and a lot of it stems from Ellie's play, but or at least being involved. That's not he's not doing it by himself, obviously, but
Yeah, of course.
since he's been playing a lot more, yeah, than him. But yeah, I mean, I guess the Cubs are kind of sneaking in. They got basically one less loss than Diamondbacks right now. So basically the same record as us. So I
Yep.
mean, let's just function over then move over to that wild card. Let's see kind of how the National League breaks down. As we can see, obviously big leads for the Braves and the Dodgers. Milwaukee's here, but this is tight, man. When I was looking at this a little bit earlier or yesterday, I saw that basically we're all the teams outside of Philly are within 3 games of each other. The Cubs, Diamondbacks, Giants, Reds, and Marlins are all within 3 games of each other. 2 spots for 5 teams. So it's going to get tight. All within 3 games. That's one series. Somebody gets swept, somebody sweeps, boom, done. Switching spots. So
Yeah,
anybody's game.
that's a lot. That's a lot of teams with very few games separating them. So the last 5 weeks here, 4.5 weeks, is going to be crazy. And obviously, there's going to be some divisions like the Giants and D-backs are battling. They're going to have to play each other at least one more time in a series, I would think. So, like you said, a weekend could change an entire way the standings looks.
Yeah, I looked last night. We played them twice. So
Oh,
mini series, I guess you could say. That's it. And we only play the Dodgers in the series that we're in right now, this Monday through Wednesday series. So hopefully no more L's because we're probably taking a bunch.
I was going to say, I think tonight, I don't know if it's officially an L yet, but it's about to be if it isn't, because it was not looking good earlier when I was watching.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. It's okay. We could try. We could try. Actually, the Diamondbacks, man, they were pretty much in it for the most of the season. When I was looking and doing a little bit of research last night, MLB website's actually pretty cool, by the way. You can look through all of this stuff. It's pretty
They have
cool.
a bunch of
So we
stuff.
went into the second half, basically the second half. It's not really a half, but after the All Star break, tied with the Dodgers, same exact record. I think they had the
Tiebreaker.
tiebreaker. Maybe we had the tiebreaker because I think we have them head to head. But yeah, they had the tie. Somebody like that. But basically tied same record. Unfortunately, though, we started going on a really bad skid. We hit the lowest point of everything on August 11th is when we fell 2 games under 500, bro. We were
Oh,
67 and 69 or something like that. Yeah, 57 and 59. I think it was in the 50s, sorry. And 5 games back of second place, which was the Giants at the time. So 5 games back of the Giants, 12 and a half games back of the Dodgers. Unfortunately, the Dodgers are still insane. We're 12 and a half games back of them, or 13 now. I
yeah.
think they've extended it. Um, and after losing those 9 straight to start the month, so we 0-9, bro, from August 1st to August 9th. We
Telling you,
lost every day.
I'm honestly with that stretch that we had, I'm shocked that we're even still in it. When we talked about looking into talking about playoffs this week and stuff, I honestly shocked we were even still in it. Thankfully, we had a good streak last week. I think we won like 8 or 9 out of 10, and so thankfully they're back in it. But there was a stretch where I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the end of the season. We're going to fall apart, and it's all going to go downhill from here.
Yeah, luckily that didn't happen. In the last 17 games, Diamondbacks are 12-5 and are a half game up. I think they lost tonight and the Giants won, so I think we're only a half game up for second in the West, which, like I said, was my little bet that I made. So really hoping for at least second in the West. And honestly, if we are second in the West, that kind of probably will put us in a playoff spot. No.
Hopefully, because if we're battling with the Giants, who's our division rival right there, then yeah. But it just depends on how the Cubs and and Milwaukee obviously falter in their division race. But I mean, we still got Cincinnati, Miami, and Miami is coached by Skip Schumacher. That guy was a grinder, man. He was on a lot of winning teams, so I expect Miami to be grinding all the way. And if they get in, like I don't know, man, it just anything can happen in the playoffs. We talk about this all the time with baseball. Baseball is like the one sport in the playoffs that as long as you get in, you have a chance.
Yeah, especially if your team is rolling like we were talking about earlier with the Orioles. We didn't think they'd even be involved in the playoff talk, and they're the 1 seed in the entire American League. So anything's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Which, speaking of anything is
Well,
possible, we're going into it. We talked about it earlier. The Little League World Series was this weekend. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the game because by the time I woke up on Sunday, I forgot they were even playing. But we did happen to be, we are SoCal natives. We are here in SoCal. So it was nice to see our local team, El Segundo, win the championship game. But
yep.
man, what a game it was, right? I mean, you said you watched most of it and you had a head scratching moment there early, though.
Yeah, dude, actually, it's so funny they say that. Thank you. Yeah, so I watched most of it. Like I told you on Sunday, Laffy came over. We had some breakfast and stuff, kind of chilled, watched the whole game. And it was actually a really good game because it started off kind of just going back and forth. I think we got 2 quick runs. They got a run quickly to kind of, keep it close. It was a 2-1 game. We got 2 more runs a couple innings later. So it was kind of building some separation, put it up to 5-1. And all of a sudden, the pitcher, forgive me, I didn't look at to see what his name was. The pitcher for California was dealing, bro. He was killing it. 1 run through, I think, 4 innings, or almost 4 innings. He had only 74 pitches, and I think you can basically pitch until 85. So if you have 84 and somebody's starting their at bat, you can finish that at bat. So he still had, I mean, probably at least 2, 3 batters, right?
Matters, yeah.
He gets pulled with 1 out and he Oh, I really think he could have got through the inning. I don't understand. He even had the coach comes out because everything's like mic'd up, so you can really
Yeah,
hear
of
it for
course.
television and stuff. You can hear the kid say like, "No, I don't want to. I'm not. I don't want to stop pitching." He's like, "Oh, look what you did for us. You did great. Look at we're up 5-1. We have all this kind of stuff." Yeah, well, that would have. Oh, gosh, man, I was so irritated. Luckily, in the end, obviously, it kind of all worked out. California won. I was happy, but the this is basically what happened. So they pull somebody in. He gets hurt. He pitches to one batter. I think puts him on, and he has a pain here in his tricep. And honestly, for kid, bro, I'm glad that he said something. Get out, dude.
Yeah,
This is not worth your whole future. You could be great at this, and just if you have some soreness because you didn't get to warm up properly, bro, just get out. So
yeah,
glad that everybody takes this super seriously for the kids. So after they pull him, they put in another guy. They used to have like 6-foot dudes on the mound. Now they bring in like the smallest kid. And no offense, he could probably deal, but it just looks less intimidating. Even
yeah,
you know what
yeah,
I'm
for
saying?
sure.
So he unfortunately gets the ball. He does get somebody out, but he eventually loads the bases, and it doesn't go so well. Let's take a look basically at what's going on when they pulled the pitcher a little bit too early, in my opinion. A
Wow,
game tying grand slam. Smashes it. Dude, this kid literally was pitching in the warm ups and his hat was falling off.
man,
Not to put anything on the kid, but man, I
wow.
was just like, ugh, yeah. So it was a little bit disappointing, of course, but luckily it wasn't that big of a deal. We were able to collect ourselves, and a couple innings later, as everybody probably knows, we were able to hit the game-winning home run.
Yeah,
But
I was gonna say not only
you
that,
caught
but
it actually.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't hear it.
no, it is bad. So not only does the kid hit the home run, which is great, but is it Curacao, right? That's the name of the country that they played. They
Yeah,
didn't give
Curacao.
up
Yep.
a home run the
Or
entire Little League World Series tournament from start to finish. And then the announcer Karl Ravech for ESPN, who's calling the game, just so happens to mention that right before the best play of the whole tournament.
ooh, yeah. So we have that jinx. And real quick, shout out to my friend Laffy. He sometimes calls it Curacao. Even though it's not it, I try to correct him each time. I'm sorry, Curacao. Now I know it's not for that, but he says it for fun. I'm not making fun of you. He likes it. Let's check out this moment here. Not quite what the Curacao people were looking for.
Oh,
Very next pitch
was
is
that
when it
like 10
goes.
seconds after he said it?
If that, dude. It was
Oh,
bad. So,
so bad.
uh, great for the California team. They were able to walk off with the nice home run. These kids, and that kid specifically, obviously, is going to remember that forever.
Absolutely.
Um, but that announcer jinx, dude, it rears its head yet again.
Every time we talk about this, like it's like an announcer calling the referee or the free throws. Like this guy's made 25 in a row, and then he misses one. It's. I mean, even Steph Curry, it happened to him last year. He pointed over, I think, to Mike Breen and them at the table, like, somebody said it. Somebody said something about my streak, and I missed one. Like it happens all the time. But in this case, at least it worked out for us.
Very true. California wins again. You looked up the stat, actually. You said that California has actually been in the title game of the Little League World Series, which I understand that it's a lot of regions of the U.S. versus a lot of international, and then we meet. So U.S. is always in the title game. I get that,
Right.
but they do have to go through the regions of that. So they still have a title to go through. But California has been to the title game 24 times, and now they've won 8 after this one, right?
Yep. Which I didn't think about it until right now as we were talking about it. Do you realize the numbers 24 and 8? LA wins it, the eighth one on the 24th appearance.
And there was L.A. specifically, yeah,
That's what I'm
because
saying.
California is obviously a very big state. We've got northerns and southern, and there's even different sections because last time California was here, I believe it was a Chula Vista team,
Yes,
which
it
is more
was.
San Diego area.
Correct. But this
So
time
I think that's
on the
even cooler that it's LA.
24th appearance, they win their eighth one, and it's an LA team. I don't know why if anybody else has mentioned that or noticed that yet, but I just did right at this moment.
I love it, and I'm glad that you brought it up, man. That's awesome. moving on, but we're going to stick with childhood, Little League, I guess you could say, and we're going to bring the wheel back. But like we were talking about in those AFC and NFC episodes, we're going to make it a little bit personal this time. We're going to take sports out of it, and we're going to do a couple questions about ourselves. So again, you can get to know us a little bit more. Let's bring up the wheel.
Spin that wheel.
We're just going to do 2 questions each, nothing crazy. And there's just kind of a little bit over the top or really general topics to kind of get to know us. You want to go first?
Let's do it. Spin it.
All right.
Nice.
All right. Your question is, though, what is the first video game console that you had?
So I personally had a Super Nintendo first, but thankfully I was living next door to Rex and Marty, and Ryan and Kyle had the original Nintendo. So I played their Nintendo next door, but my first one that I ever owned was the Super Nintendo with the square control, or the slightly rounded ones. They were kind of rounded controllers, right? Not
yes. Correct. The regular Nintendo was the square controller. The original Nintendo.
That's what I played next door.
Yeah. Exactly. Nice. All right. Great consoles.
Heck yeah. Throwback.
All right. 100%.
Let's see what you got. All right. So your question is, what was your first pet?
My first pet. Well, my first pet was when I was a baby. It was a dog, and her name was Kona. Loved that dog, from what I remember. See a bunch of pictures and stuff like that of us, and so I used to sit on her back like a horse because I was, like I said, I was like a little baby, and she was a little dog. So, yeah, so that was my first pet. However, my first like pet that I like remember and that I like had to take care of was a little cat. It was a calico cat, and we named her Belle, like the princess. That was my sister. Named her Belle, like the princess, because she had a lot of gold, like the gold dress.
Oh, okay.
So, Belle. Shout out to Belle. Rest in peace.
Shout out to Belle.
Kona 2.
All right. Well, let's spin and get another question for me.
Your spin. Your question is...
Perfect. Hey, I got the question.
What was your favorite grade of school? Exactly. That's why I said perfect. What was your favorite grade of school?
Well, I guess I would have to say senior year, because that means it's all over and we get to go into college where we get to choose where we want to go and actually enjoy life. So senior year, when it was all over and said and done. Honestly, I could have left after junior year, so I was over it.
Nice. Wow, yeah. So you're not one of those guys that, man, if only I could be back in the day, man, I was not one of them, huh?
Not at all. Even when I go back home to my parents, I only go to my parents' house and my grandma's house. And then occasionally when I have to like meet them for dinner somewhere that's not there, I like drive through and everything looks completely different. I'm like, oh, when did the flower shop leave? They're like, oh, that was like 4 years ago. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going on here anymore. I don't live here. So
sometimes you come say hi to me though.
Yeah, occasionally. But even then, I don't know what's going on in Azusa either.
No. Yeah, me either. I just live here. So. All right, last question. My question is...
All right, nice. This one you said was going to be hard if you got it. What was your favorite TV show growing up?
My favorite TV show growing up. I'm going to give you 2. My favorite one as a kid, honestly, there's so many, dude. There's so many. I mean, obviously, as a kid, you just watch every TV show, and everyone is your favorite, right? Everything's your favorite when you're a little kid. But the one that I can think of that I really watched like the most probably was, at our time, was like SpongeBob SquarePants, of course. And then as I got into like middle school, high school, I actually watched a ton of Degrassi. Not just because, he wasn't Drake yet. But I did watch a ton of Degrassi.
Yeah, my sister was big into both of those. I was never a big SpongeBob fan myself. I never got into it, and I was definitely not into Degrassi. I don't know. I guess I wasn't into like those drama kind of like shows when I was younger.
I can see that. That makes sense. Not everybody is. Totally understandable too. But yeah, I was definitely a Degrassier.
A Degrassier. Is that a term? Is that a real thing? Would you make that up?
But yeah, well, I don't know. I just made it up. Well, I guess it's a term now, right? Speaking of moving on from Degrassiers, but like you said, your favorite year was senior year, because after that you were doing what? Going to college.
College, which we had opening weekend, or as they call it in college football, week 0, because it's when if you're those big teams like SC, you play San Jose State, or if you're Alabama, you play Northern Alabama that nobody knows about. So it's kind of the first weekend of football for college, but it's really just like preseason games for a couple of these teams, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. Everybody just smashes the opponents. Again, I don't mean to put them down, but it's just, the recruiting talent goes where the recruiting talent will be seen, which is major schools. And San Jose State is not one of them, and neither is Northern Alabama. So some of these schools are, like you said, the warm-ups, basically. It's like instead of, they want to just have like a practice run with a practice squad, but since colleges don't pay practice squads to be around, they just kind of pay other schools to play them. I'm pretty sure there's something like that, right? Like San Jose gets a bunch of money for
Oh yeah,
playing USC, just getting
absolutely.
their
Yeah,
face smashed. So
you agree to like a normally if it's a big school you do a home and home or something, but when it's occasionally like this, it's a smaller school. It's just we're gonna pay you to come to town. We're gonna beat you up because we want to get prepped and ready for our real season. And here's like $500,000 or $1 million towards your school. I don't know what the amount of money is. I'm sure SC could afford to give anybody anything, so it doesn't matter.
of course, exactly. But they did start off slow, right? They were only up 21-14.5, which is pretty concerning if you're a USC fan because they're a top 10 AP ranking in the initial top 25 list. And there's a lot of college football playoff, maybe even college football championship aspirations on that. And being up by 7 only at halftime on a team you're supposed to score every 7 minutes on is not good luck, but they did score 21 in the third, ended up having over like 500 yards in the game total. So
Yeah, just over 500. But the biggest issue is the defense, which that was their biggest issue last year. They lost the 3 games they lost. They scored, I think, 40 points themselves, but they lost the game because their defense couldn't stop them. So if the defense is giving up 28 to San Jose State, again, not that San Jose State is a terrible program, but they're not to the level of SC. And if they're giving up 28 points to them,
no,
and that's not a good sign. Now, although it is a preseason warm up game for them or like a glorified scrimmage game for SC, so they're
scrimmage.
obviously trying a
Yeah.
lot of different things. I think I heard the number was they played 22 different guys on defense in the game. So they're obviously trying things out and trying
Oh,
to figure
wow.
out
Okay.
what they're doing. But still, it's not when you're at the caliber of talent that SC has, you should definitely be able to cover the spread. They didn't even cover the spread of 31.
Yeah, especially with the expectations that you have, because like I said, big name coach, Lincoln Riley coming to town. Big quarterback, obviously just won the Heisman. A lot of money here in LA, obviously the private school of LA here, not, being UCLA. Not that UCLA doesn't have money too and boosters from that, but being the private school here, this play right here is crazy. He can't believe he
Yeah,
fumbled the snap and then literally just tosses it for a 76-yard touchdown.
like
I
it was
mean, that's
nothing.
again, no offense, but that's the level of talent that is at San Jose State. Like if they're playing Florida, if they're playing Alabama, they're playing Auburn's or anybody like that, that's
Not
that
happening.
may not be that 76-yard touchdown. So, anyways, getting back to it though, yeah, it's a little bit more concerning, but glad they kind of got back to it. Still put up 56 points over 500 yards. Not covering the spread is probably annoying because a lot of people were probably betting on that. I would have definitely expected them to cover the spread against San Jose State, so I would have been a little irritated had I not. What was the
Yeah,
spread though for that
31.
Notre Dame one?
Oh yeah,
Because that game, no, for the Notre Dame one, because that game was big, 42-3 over
yeah.
Navy. I get
I
it's
mean,
Navy, but still.
I was just gonna say it is Navy. All they do is run the ball. I can't imagine the quarterback threw more than 10 times. But still, I mean, Sam Hartman has a great debut at the quarterback position for Notre Dame, 19 to 23, 251, 4 touchdowns. So obviously the offense is not the issue, but again, it is going against Navy. So we'll see what Notre Dame can do as they play some real competition later in the season. But it's always weird because they're the only team that's not in a conference. So their schedule is like the same, but it's not. There's no conference record. They're just kind of in their own world. But I mean, it's a good start,
Yeah,
especially for Hartman to go off like that. Maybe Hartman is a Heisman candidate when it all said and done.
true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't heard of him before, but I don't really hear of a lot of people before they're Heisman candidates either, obviously, because they're from college. They're coming out of high school. They're coming up out of after being a backup for somebody, all that kind of stuff. So I guess I could see that. Again, I'm gonna need to see more than just 42-3 over Navy.
Yeah.
But the game was in Dublin. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've been doing this now. I think probably the second or third time they've had a game over in Ireland, and it just the people love it. I know there was a video of them doing the snake beer snake and how many cans and how many cups of Guinness that went through it. I mean, those people love Notre Dame over there. So as long as they keep going there every year and playing, they're going to sell out. And obviously, if they can keep winning, people are going to love to watch it.
Yeah, well, the Fighting Irish, they have to go play in Ireland, I guess, sometime, right? That makes sense.
It only
It's pretty
does.
weird if they wouldn't.
Yeah,
It's kind of
absolutely.
hard. It's kind of weird if you try to ask them to come all the way over here. That's a lot of people coming just for one team. You could just take one team over there and get back to your roots,
Yeah, a bunch of drunk Irish people at a game, no problem.
Makes sense to me. I mean, as long as the football team just gets out safely
Yeah, and doesn't get
on their
in,
buses,
and
their
doesn't get in
respective
any
buses.
trouble or cause any issues for their program. Which, like we are looking about now that ASU has self-imposed a 1-year bowl ban on themselves. I mean, man, that's not good.
No, not good at all. I read into this article a lot, man, and there's a lot of stuff going on here. I think it's pretty crazy because as you get deeper, it gets weirder, I guess you could say. Most of this, actually, no, all of this happens, the ban itself happens amid an NCAA investigation into repeated and gratuitous recruiting violations during the Herm Edwards tenure. I don't know what repeated, how often that was repeated or how gratuitous they were, but apparently they were too much for the NCAA. It basically puts it, as ESPN kind of covered the article here, the heart of the investigation is or centers around COVID-19, like dead period violations, where there was things like tickets for travel for parents of a certain player. There was staff giving tours to recruits and stuff like that during, like when you weren't supposed to because all the COVID stuff was so crazy at that time. Position coaches working out with people, reviewing film with other coaches when they weren't supposed to be together because of all the, regardless of what you think, right?
Yeah,
Of whether or not the rules were necessary or not. The
they
point
are
was
the
that they
rules.
were broken. Um, exactly. So once this kind of started, Herm Edwards actually has been stopped. He stopped coaching only 3 games into last season. This is the first game here at Northern Arizona University. Again, one of those gimme games. So after only 3 seasons, after only 3 games last season, he kind of stepped down. But the investigation has also led to 5 other full-time coaches leaving or being fired.
Oh,
Do you think this is a big? This isn't like he's, like the Rick Pitino stuff where he's taking the players to strip clubs, and at least not that's been mentioned. Again, this is all kind of like similar, I guess, to the Jim Harbaugh or John Harbaugh. Jim, who's in freaking which one of the players?
I think it's
Jim,
Jim
Jim,
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. Right, just doing stuff when he wasn't supposed to. Not what he did necessarily was wrong, because it doesn't necessarily say anything that they did was wrong. It says
Yeah,
when they did it was wrong.
yeah, and I that's not
You think it's
shocking
that bad?
coming when like Herm Edwards comes in there because Herm has been around a long time as a coach, especially in the NFL before he was a coach in college. So he probably is so old school that
Hmm.
he probably didn't want to listen to a lot of those rules or go by any of those things. So it's really not that
He's like,
shocking.
"Nah."
Yeah, it's one of those. I'm here. I'm going to do my
Yeah.
thing, and in a couple of years they'll fire me anyway. So I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Hmm. But it's kind of like what I was saying, where the controversy comes in. Again, similar to the recruiting violations of Jim Harbaugh, he was just going to be suspended 4 games. Had nothing to do with a bowl ban. There's another team, Tennessee, apparently just got hit with something similar, where there was an investigation done to them because of dead period connections and recruiting, but they only incurred an $8 million fine. There was no postseason penalties or anything like that. So it seems weird, and everybody's kind of asking the question: then why would ASU even self-impose the ban? My guess, and it's a lot of talk, is that maybe what's being investigated, they're going to see that it's going to be a lot worse than what's so far being surfaced and what's been reported, and that maybe they're just trying to say, hey, no, here, look, we're bad, don't do anything crazy to us. That's my guess, because the way that it looks, not that many people are getting hit with postseason bans.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And do you think it also not only do you think they could be hiding something and not trying to cover up from more coming out, but do you think it could have anything to do with not being in the Pac-12 and having an agreement to go to another conference? Like, do you think that's going to affect? Do they think that could be something that affects them moving into another conference?
Oh, wow, yeah, because, like, that other conference isn't gonna want, like,
That
not that
that
every conference is perfect, believe me,
no, but
everybody
you
knows
don't
that
want them
they
coming
each
in
of
with
those teams is
that.
doing something.
Yeah, you don't want them coming in and
Right,
joining
that
a conference.
baggage.
And the first thing is like, oh well, yeah, they just banned themselves or got banned because of this, this, and that. Like, are you excited about them joining the conference? that's not really good PR. So maybe there's something behind, like you said, they could be hiding something, but maybe it's for more reasons than just what we think of, like not wanting it to get out. It could affect the long term
Mm,
goals or money wise for the campus and the school.
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. They're one of the teams that's going to the Big 12, I believe, right? Not with USC, UCLA to the Big
Yeah, they're
10.
not going to the Big Ten, but still, I mean, if I'm the Big 12, I'm taking everybody I can get. So I don't think ultimately it will, but I'm just
Yeah,
wondering
because
if there's
everybody's leaving.
something that is on the back end that they're trying to hide, like you mentioned, but it could be something really bad that ultimately the Big 12 has to reconfigure or reimagine if they even want them in their conference. Because it's not happening this year.
Yeah.
There's still a whole nother year before that actually takes place.
Right, and by then the investigation will already return the results, so we'll
Exactly.
know exactly what happened and what the NCAA actually thinks about it. A lot of people don't think actually or really believe in bull bans. The more I was reading this, and it kind of makes a lot of sense. There's a couple. The two main reasons are well, the main reason, in my opinion, at least, is when all of this comes out, all of the disciplining that comes, the bowl bans and the this that, and nobody can get this, and scholarships are imposed that only really, as much as it hurts the school, right? It really hurts the team that's there, even if that
Yeah,
team didn't do
absolutely.
anything, right? So if Herm Edwards did something and they're imposing the self, well, Herm Edwards isn't there anymore.
Hmm.
A lot of those kids, this was 2 years ago or a year, yeah, it was 2021, so we're already in 2023. So this was kind of like a lot of these kids have either graduated, moved on, maybe not on the team, all sorts of
Transferred.
transferred, who
Yeah.
knows? So some of these people aren't even there. The other thing, though, is the unfortunate part where the NCAA doesn't really care about anything, but of course, the almighty dollar. The NIL has really changed the landscape for everybody making money. So if they have a player that happens to be a big NIL person, right, that may not bode well by having them sit out in that bowl game because that big partner, whatever it is,
Yeah.
right, isn't going to
True.
be getting that PR that they think they are. So
Hmm.
unfortunately, that sucks. But since money is the most important thing in the world, they can't stop some good old fashioned TV revenue for some infractions. So
Yeah. No,
those are
absolutely.
the kind of things, and it's a lot of people why I think in bowl games aren't even a thing anymore. So it's kind of weird to just see this self-imposed bowl ban.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be more to it than what we've seen so far. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. So if other teams are getting just an $8 million fine and you're doing something similar and you're deciding to just ban yourself completely, but like you did mention, it does not help the team now by banning anything for people that did the issues from previous
No,
years that are not no longer there. Like you're hard you're there. But I don't know what else you to do as far as like how do you do anything to the people that are no longer there, because if they're not involved with the school or the program anymore, then you don't really have a say over anything that happens to them in their life. It's not like you're the police.
right, exactly. And that's kind of hard. You can't just go back to Herm Edwards and be like, hey, you messed up. You owe me
Yeah,
$250,000. Wait, why would I owe $250,000? I don't even work there anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
I don't know all the legalities behind it, right? And that's what makes it more difficult. But yeah, it's kind of hard to do it. I don't know. I don't know what you do it. I think you just find the university. I think that's what it should be. Just
Yeah,
charge the university because if they're the reason why they're doing this kind of stuff is to get better players to make more money, well then take the money from them because eventually the university is going to stop wanting to give away $8 million like Tennessee just did in order to now, granted they make a lot of money, but still these fines and just being in the news for these types of things isn't necessarily the best thing. So
but
I know a lot of people
also
would rather avoid it.
do you think finding the school even for now is a good thing? Because even though they're taking, say they fine them 8 million like they did Tennessee take that 8 million out. They didn't take that out of the football budget. They took that 8 million out of another budget. So is it really even hurting the athletes at that point? Or are you really just hurting the student body of a school that had absolutely nothing to do with a sports team having issues like that?
Yeah, I mean I don't know Tennessee's balance sheet, right? But
No, I
I,
don't
I'm
either, but I'm
sure
just
eight million
thinking out
dollars.
loud, like, they have this amount of budget for football and this amount of budget for regular stuff, and if they get fined 8 million, that 8 million is not coming out of the football budget. There's no way they're taking out of the football budget because that is what drives all the money and makes
Yeah.
them money in the first place. So it's gonna come out of the regular school budget. So that also doesn't even affect
Hmm.
the sports team, it affects the regular general population of the school who have absolutely nothing to do with the sports world, which that kinda sucks.
Yeah, yeah. I doubt. And this is my opinion again. I don't know the balance sheet. I doubt it impacts it that much. And then if it really started to impact it, people are going to stop going to these schools, right? People are going to be like, dude, I don't. because Tennessee's constantly involved. Either way, right? The point is to get people to pay attention. If you don't want to be handing away money, regardless of whose money it is, I couldn't agree with you more. As a person who didn't play sports in college, I couldn't agree with you more.
Right.
But there is no other way, right? You can't go after
Yeah.
the individuals, you can't go after the kids, you can't go after. So find the university, and that way they wouldn't it be a lot easier to pay somebody $250,000 a year instead of $8 million every other year because of a thing? So just watch, just make sure, especially the big sports, basketball, football. You think there's a lot of swimming violations or trying to
Yeah.
recruit a swimmer from the? I'm not saying there isn't, right? But you don't even have to watch all the sports. Watch the main ones. Watch the money makers, football and basketball. Pay somebody a little bit to do it and take some accountability. That's, I guess, the reason. I agree. I don't want it to affect the students. I was a student, like I said, that didn't play a sport, but somebody needs to take accountability
Yeah.
because there's rules for a reason, even if I disagree with them. Remember what I said about the NCAA on a couple shows ago?
Yeah. We're not fans of them at all either. So yeah, definitely
Not fans.
not on their side of this.
Yeah, not trying to give them any benefit of the doubt. No. Agreed.
Absolutely not.
Keeping it in NCAA though, and sticking with football, one of the big ones now that we've started is, of course, top-ranked Georgia.
Yeah, and the question
They are.
is, can they three-peat?
Yeah, question is, are they three-peating?
Yeah, that's the question. And it hasn't been done because we talked about this. Had it been done before? And obviously, there's been other teams that have had opportunities to do so, but it technically hasn't been done in college football since 1936 when the University of Minnesota won 34, 35, and 36. But I mean, obviously, the game has changed a lot since then, and there's been voting and involved of who even gets to play in some of these title games back before the college football playoffs started with 4. I mean, now it's going to grow to 12 or whatever in a couple years, so it's just going to change. But do you think Georgia can actually do the three-peat?
If they have a good quarterback, I know that the Rams quarterback, we saw him play some preseason the other night. Actually, the guy who went down to CJ Okoye, right, in his first career sack. He's obviously gone, so that's a hampering as we're seeing him just light TCU up here. I had a lot more hope for this game than what it turned out to be, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I had a feeling TCU was going to lose, but the way they were able to stick with Michigan was pretty surprising, obviously, and they won. So I thought they would put up a little bit more of a fight, and it wasn't even close. Anyways,
No, it was
going back to Georgia, but this is the type of domination that I think they can do. I think it really depends. Again, I haven't looked at it too much yet, and as we get into the college football season, I'll definitely be paying attention more. But it all comes down to quarterback play because in college, I feel like the systems are good. The Alabamas and the Georgias. If you got something good,
and that's
it's as long as you have the right talent that year.
Yeah, and that's exactly my thought. Like, if it's about the system, then if the quarterback is decent for Georgia, then they're going to be fine because their defense is what carries them the last couple years. I mean, they've had guys leave and get drafted in the top 10 or whatever the draft, and they still had the top defense the next year, and they're probably going to do it again. Like, that's all they are, is they're built on their defense. So if they can have the defense they normally have, and this new quarterback, whoever, I don't even know who it is off the top of my head either, if they can just play like normal football and not do anything crazy or not turn the ball over, then Georgia's going to be right there back in the SEC title game. And then depending on how Alabama looks and what their head-to-head looks like, that'll determine if one of them, if not both, make it to the Final Four.
Very true. To your point about the people, how even though if they can get drafted and the entire defense for the Eagles is basically all of Georgia.
True.
Yeah, they just decided to take basically everybody from this championship team and say, you know what, why don't you come on over here? We could use somebody to try to catch Patrick Mahomes.
If it works, then why not try it in the NFL? Just try all the same guy. I mean, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow worked together again in Cincinnati from college to the pros. So
yes, they did. Yes, they did. So I know that I'm going to be rooting for SC. I'm rooting for any Pac-12 team, but as we discussed previously, if I have to pick anybody from the Pac-12, I'm fighting on. Obviously, the Pac-12 is no more after this year, so it won't matter. I guess I'll just be a Big 10 or 16, whatever number they might have.
Whatever they decide.
Fan. I kind of already like them anyways. Yeah, right. Whatever number. I kind of already like them anyway. So now that SC's over there and UCLA, the hometown teams here, it'll be something to watch. So I'm hoping they make it. I'm hoping that'd be like we talked about when we were talking about the Pac-12 disbanding, when all this stuff hit the fan. Be great to see a Pac-12 team take this college football championship in the last year of the Pac-12.
Yeah, they've never won the conference since they went to this format. So it would be great for them to do it. And if Caleb Williams could win a back-to-back Heisman on top of it, I mean, he would definitely be going number 1 in the draft at that point if he's not already now.
So the Cardinals.
Well, maybe we'll
Hmm.
see how that goes. But yeah,
No,
so
hey. I'm putting it out there, man.
there's a
I'm putting
lot
it
of
out there.
football. There's a lot of football to play, and let's not forget, Caleb technically has another year of eligibility. So if he doesn't want to go to Arizona, maybe he comes back. He does make money in
Hmm.
on NIL money. It's not like he's not making any money in college like they used to.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm not saying he's not making money, but I'm saying he's not making number one overall pick in the NFL draft money.
No, that is a fact.
Because we saw what that was for this year, and I think it's like close to like 24 to 26 million dollars.
Man, that is crazy. That money's just
Yeah,
gonna
that's
keep
crazy.
growing too.
Yeah. Well, when you're good, you're good. Well, when you're hopefully good, at least when you're good in college. When you're hopefully good, they pay you like you're good. The
And
big
then,
question is whether or not the Bucks want to pay Giannis.
well, is it that the Bucks want to pay, or is it that Giannis doesn't want to take the money that they're offering? Is the question at this point?
Oh, do the Bucks want to pay or does Giannis want to play?
Hey,
Is
there
that
we
what you're saying?
go. That's the question. That is the question. I mean, he's due for an extension here. I think in September sometime. It'll be a 3-year, 173 extension on top of I think the 2 years he has left. So it'd kind of be like the AD thing, where it'd be a 5-year total deal. But there's these articles coming out of even on Takuba, not even just articles of people talking about. I mean, it's him saying himself in an interview that next summer would make more sense for both parties. Even then, I don't know. I would not want to be. I would want to be the best version of myself. I don't know if everybody's on the same page. Everybody's going for a championship. Everybody's going to sacrifice time away from their family like I do. If I don't feel that, then I'm not signing. So maybe this isn't necessarily him saying he's leaving, but is this him at least telling them like, hey, I'm not messing around. Like I'm not just going to sign to sign. You guys got to keep me engaged in a sense and knowing that we're going to keep competing.
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I don't think he's saying, guys, prepare. I'm leaving. I think he's saying, guys, I'm willing to leave. We need to be constantly competing for championships, or I don't want to be here. No amount of money anymore because he's at that level in
Mm-hmm.
off the court money and just status where no amount of money is really necessary. What he wants to do is have fun, and what's fun to him is winning. So that, which to me, I understand that. I don't blame him. So I hope that, I mean, selfishly, I hope he does. And I hope that we've got money. And I hope that we have a team that he likes. And I hope he comes here. But I have a feeling that they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they keep putting a championship people around him, putting, like he says, everybody's going to want to sacrifice time. Everyone's going to put in the work, all this kind of stuff. I mean, look at this guy, dude. He's a monster. So, he's putting the work in, he's putting time in the gym, all that kind of stuff. And he just wants teammates that are going to do the same. Not saying, is he taking shot at his current teammates?
I mean, I wouldn't say he's taking a shot, but he's also letting the franchise know, like, just because we're good right now doesn't mean that. Because, like, if he signed for a couple years, they got Middleton signed for a couple years, and now they got Lopez there. Like, even though those guys are signed for a few years, he's probably got to be letting them know, like, if they're not up to par of what we need in order to compete, like, we're gonna have to be able to move them, and I'm the guy that's gonna be here that we're gonna continue to build around. And if I'm honest, that's the main thing I'm concerned about. Like, at the end of the day, I'm with you. I think he's going to stay in Milwaukee. I think he's going to end up being like Dirk in Dallas. He's going to play like 15, 16
Yeah.
years in Milwaukee. They're going to build a statue of him out front. He'll own every Milwaukee record by the time it's done. He'll just be there for so
Yep.
long. I think that's like, he just doesn't seem like a big city guy. He's done so well in a small market in
Huh.
Milwaukee and been so accepted. And especially
Yeah.
like Dallas, like Dirk, he's not from here originally. So he has no like lenience like any like way of thinking or wanting to go back to like home or a home state or a certain
Hmm.
city where family's from. Like he doesn't
Right.
have any of that here. He's just got Milwaukee. That's all he knows as far as the United States is concerned. So maybe that's just where he stays. He seems like a just easygoing guy who doesn't want to go over the top or be like me. I mean, he has to be me in the sense that he has an ego and he's in the NBA and he's a great player,
You have to, right? Yeah.
but it's not to the point where it's like seeping out of him and that's all you think. Like I think at the end of the day, he just wants to
No.
play basketball, win, and he's got his family and his kids, and he's good to go.
Yeah, I agree. And I think honestly, he's made the Bucks cool. You know what I
Right?
mean? Like, not that they were uncool before, but they were just like a nobody team, nowhere team up in Milwaukee. Nobody cares. But their logos are getting cooler. Their jerseys are getting cooler. They're just like a cool team to watch, man. I like watching them, and I like watching Giannis. So I
Yeah,
agree. I think he stays there. They just got to figure it out. He was quoted later on, right? This is his quote: "As long as we're on the same page with that, and you show me, and we go together to win a championship, I'm all for it." But the moment he says, "I feel like, oh yeah, we're trying to rebuild," boom.
yeah.
I think that's where he kind of is out the door. He does go on to say, but there will never be any hard feelings with the Milwaukee Bucks. So
No, there
I
should
think
not.
that he wants to stay. He just
Yeah,
doesn't want to
and even if
be.
he
He doesn't
were
want to
to,
be in Dame's position. Maybe that's what he sees, right?
that's true. Maybe he doesn't. And even if he were to ultimately leave, like it's like LeBron when he went back to Cleveland and did everything right. Once he left the second time, nobody was like mad at him. They left. They understood, like, okay, you came back, you won us a title. We're not good anymore. You
Yeah,
need to go somewhere else. We get it. You're at a different part of your career. But Giannis has been there from the get
yeah.
go. They've built everything around it. I mean, he started out as some scrawny kid. We didn't even know who he was. And here he is as the best player in the
Now
NBA.
he's
It's not like
yoked,
he had
bro.
expectations on him like LeBron. So if I'm Milwaukee and if I'm Giannis, I feel like this should just be a partnership until we're both calling it quits.
Dude, can you imagine if he could shoot
Oh, dude, if he can,
like well?
yeah, exactly. I say if he could shoot even semi decent, like a basic average player, almost when some of his percentages, dude. And
Mm-hmm.
I would think though, as
He
his
could shoot
career
like
goes,
35% from three. Oh,
yeah, and I
dangerous,
think
dude.
I have to think as his
Dangerous.
career goes on, that's what's going to happen. He's going to get less athletic as far as like explosiveness, so his game is going to get further and further from the hoop. That's usually how it works for those guys. So I would think as that time goes on,
Yeah.
hopefully he'll pick it up and be a better shooter later in his career. But if he had it now, they would be unstoppable in Milwaukee for sure.
Yeah, I agree. They can offer him a 3-year, $173 million extension beginning September, which is just under $58 million a year.
It's a lot of money anywhere, but that's a lot of money in Milwaukee. Let me tell you, ain't nothing in Milwaukee. I was just there.
Oh yeah, you've been there, huh?
My dad and I were just there in
That's
June
so funny.
for baseball, and we were in downtown Milwaukee for like 3 days. And I mean, let's tell you this. This is how small of a city it is, at least in my opinion. We went to the same
Okay.
bar on 2 different days, and this isn't like a hole in the wall bar. This is like one of those nice indoor malls where there's like different food venues in the food court area, but they're all like local stuff. And then there's like the shops up
Hmm.
top. And the same bar we went 2 different days, we saw the same drunk guy come and try to buy drinks with coins, like at the bar. So
Coins. What do you mean,
yeah,
like quarters and stuff?
yeah, he was like, "Hey, how much can I get?" Like for, and he's like putting his coins on the counter, and it was one of those. He started talking to my dad and I. And we're like, "Oh man, we're ready. Okay, yeah, we're done. It's nice to meet you. Bye."
Same guy, same
Yeah,
day,
not
same
allowed to
spot. Or
do in
next day,
Milwaukee.
same spot,
Milwaukee,
same routine.
good to go.
Well, I still have to go and visit, but I will make sure to make the trip short now that
Yeah,
I know firsthand, well, secondhand, I guess, from you,
I mean, if you want to meet my
kind of what
friend from
it's
the bar,
like.
I'll tell you where to go. But
Yeah, let me know, bro. Tell me the name of that bar. I want to see what's up to him. Dude, I swear, bro, if I were to go and dude, if he shows up, I would have to take a picture and be like, dude, is this him right here?
you would know
That'd be
exactly who he was.
nuts.
I wouldn't have to describe him because he would make his presence just sitting at the bar known because of the way he
As
is.
soon as he starts counting out the coins, I'd be like,
Well, that alone
coin
would give it
guy,
away. Yeah,
it's
that would
you.
probably give it away.
That's funny, man.
Which I mean, okay, so
Someone who's not pitching
I was
coins.
like, we're talking about coins. Let's talk
Hmm.
about dropping dimes. That's where I was going. Was dropping dimes, dropping dimes.
Okay.
Which Austin Reeves and Team USA with another win over New Zealand, 99-72. Just killing, man. Just killing. It's been so nice for Austin Reeves because I feel like it's gonna translate to the Lakers season. He's gonna show up real good.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree. I am excited to see him. Honestly, I'm excited to watch the whole USA team. I know we talked about it a couple times. They won their first game against New Zealand by a lot, 99-72. They just played today. They beat Greece. I think it was 99-81.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
think
right.
was the final. So we won by almost 20 again. And that's when Austin was doing work was this morning. And this morning Pacific time, it was on just before 6 a.m. Pacific time. So, uh, you know, at least some people on the East Coast were up. Or, I mean, 6 a.m. is not even really that early. I mean, people, especially during the week, are up. Just maybe not be
Six,
watching TV.
6
So
a.m. is a
if
little
you
early
didn't
for
catch
some
it,
of us.
yeah, I mean, I was sleeping. I'm just saying, like, some other people. So, but if you didn't catch it, we won. Austin had a team high 15 in only 17 minutes, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals on his way to player of the game.
Off
Hoping
the
this
bench.
translates to the Lakers, bro, right?
not even
Oh
starting,
yeah,
like
off the
off the bench.
bench. Yeah.
Like he's not even starting. They're getting like a slow start on the offensive side besides Anthony Edwards, and then Austin's coming off the bench and just doing work, man. I mean, like you said, I hope it rolls into the Lakers season. I feel like most times when there's a FIBA tournament or Olympics and guys play in those, they tend to have a good season. I mean, the Lakers lost to the Celtics in '08. Kobe played in the Olympics that summer, and then the Lakers won the next two titles. I'm not saying that Austin Reeves is Kobe Bryant, but I'm just saying playing in the USA kind of gets you in that, like, it's kind of like you're in early preseason. So by the time the season starts for everybody else, you're kind of already in your mode and ahead of the game. So hopefully that's what the case is this year.
Yeah, and it's early enough as well because he's not going to be winded. We're not starting, in 2 weeks or anything.
No,
Hopefully he can, get this in. He's young, obviously too, but hopefully he gets this in, gets a lot of experience. He's playing with really, really good players around him. He's playing against the best that each respective country can present. So, this is a lot of getting coaching from some of the best minds with the Eric Spoelstras and the Steve Kerrs there, dude. So
yeah,
just all sorts of things to increase and make his game that much better. I'm super super excited to see it translate, and I mean, like we said, we even see it translate here with him. He's getting a bunch of comments and compliments from everybody. I saw a clip. I mean, I know maybe it's because he's a Laker, but also because he's good. If he was just a Laker and he wasn't good, that wouldn't be the same.
yeah.
Where he's going into like a meet and greet in the Philippines, and the room is lit, dude. You think
Below
LeBron was showing up? It was
even during
so
even
huge.
during
So I
starting
think it's just
lineups,
awesome.
they do the other guys, and then Austin Reed, and they just explode, man. They love him, but like you said, it's a huge part of just being on the Lakers, man, and being good on the Laker team. Like we were in the Western Conference Finals last year, so obviously there's a huge following in the Philippines. They know who you are because you were a huge part of that team, even getting that far.
Exactly. I remember when we had Jordan Clarkson as one of the only Filipino players in the
Yeah,
NBA. Even more. Just have a lot of, being in SoCal, we have a nice mixing pot of cultures here. It's awesome to be around like so many different people, so much great food, so much great entertainment, all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty cool. Obviously a huge Filipino following here in LA, and that kind of spreads back home. So it's awesome. It's awesome to see. There's a moment in the previous game where Austin actually has a pretty cool breakaway dunk. And there's a picture that's kind of surfacing around the internet right now
this picture is so
with
good.
him in the air. It's sick, right? He's in the air, and Tyrese Halliburton is behind him, like also in the air, basically as high as he is. Just kind of looks like he's almost standing in the air, just like so pumped that he's getting this dunk. And there was an interview actually that somebody had where they walked up to him and kind of showed him the picture and kind of just asked for his opinion. So let's show you what Austin was talking about with this photo. You'll be able to see the photo obviously quickly, and then Austin's story about it. I like that he says, "Come on, dude, dunk it."
It's funny, you can see in the replay
This
right
is
there.
it,
He
yeah.
looks. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, she goes back, right? Such a cool pick, though, dude.
Yeah,
That's what I love about.
kind of
That's
reminds me a
awesome.
little bit of the not that it's the same caliber of photo, but the same like timing of them both being up as the LeBron Wade, where he threw it up behind him and Wade's like this in the one photo, and LeBron's in the back just yamming it down.
That's got to be top 3 NBA pictures of all time.
Oh yeah, for sure, no doubt.
Like another one that I could think of off the top of my head, and for me, there's 2 more that I could think of. There's Jordan hanging in Game 6 for that against Utah, right? Was it Utah?
Yep.
Yeah. And then my favorite one is Kobe on top of the thing with his hands in the air, 5, and all the confetti falling down. Those
Yeah.
are probably my 3 favorite like basketball pictures ever. If you just freezing Jordan like that, I mean, okay, maybe Jordan doing the freaking dunk from the free throw line was pretty sick too.
Yeah, but that
That
wasn't in
picture
a
was like
game. That was an All
obviously
Star game like stuff. That's
right.
we're talking about NBA Finals Game 6, like the hand just hanging there with Russell, basically like, what the hell just happened to me?
Boom, just lets it go last second. Of course, drains it and then jumping up and him doing that stuff. That just yeah. I mean, I guess that's more than a picture that whole thing, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can just imagine him. One of those frames would be cool to see. So
yeah,
so
for
this was
sure.
pretty cool. This was pretty cool. Again, not on the level of those, but it's awesome to see Austin getting a bunch of run, getting a bunch of practice, and just playing with other all stars, basically, because that's what they are. They're mostly all stars. I
Yeah,
mean, I know technically a lot of them haven't made all star games, but they're future all stars or on the cusp of all star dumb.
yeah,
That's a word.
exactly. Yeah, it is. You're good.
Other things that happened though in the World Cup: France eliminated immediately, played 2 games, got smashed by Canada, which may
Ooh.
not sound Chris. Canada, aren't they good at hockey only? Nah, they have a pretty stacked team actually.
Yeah,
So
but still, France is supposed
smashed
to
by
be good.
Canada by 30.
Yeah, France is supposed to be
Exactly.
good, and they're supposed
And
to be
then
Rudy Gobert in the center, like as the defensive anchor. They're supposed to be really good and have been for a long
yeah,
time.
well,
And they got beat by 30 by
depends
Canada.
on who
Ouch.
opinion.
Well, yeah, that's true. That
Yeah, not a fan.
defensive
Not a
player.
fan of Gobert myself. But yeah, to
Oh,
your point, people give him defensive player of the years and trade 5 first-round picks for him and all these things. So apparently he's good. But yeah, they were bounced after losing by Latvia with freaking Kristaps on the bench. He didn't even play.
oh my goodness.
Kristaps Porzingis chilling there. Yeah, just watching in street clothes. They lost by 2, and it doesn't matter what they do. They lost their first 2 games, and they're basically out. They're not moving on. So
Wow.
is it fair to say that the French are basically average at basketball besides Tony Parker? I don't mean that in a rude way, but
Well,
Tony
I
Parker's
mean,
like the only person I can think of that's like
yeah, I was gonna say
legit.
depending on what Wemby does, and I'm assuming the Spurs probably didn't let Wemby play in
Okay,
that
there you
tournament,
go.
right? So we can't really
Yeah,
think about
probably
it
not.
too much. I guess in a couple of years when Wemby's allowed to play in these tournaments, maybe we'll see if France can actually bounce back at that time.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I guess that's it. We'll hold on for Wemby, but other than that, it's just Tony Parker, man. You're the French goat. That's it. No others.
Nope.
Other decent players, other NBA
Yeah,
players, but
Boris
nobody great.
Diaw, Nicholas Batum. They've had some guys that can play, but not all star, multi all star, NBA Finals champions. Like
Evan Fournier.
yeah, some okay pieces, but
That's
Tony
what I said.
Parker's the
Just
best.
okay. They're okay. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. But
So,
that's okay.
but yeah, that about wraps up this one. We got another segment though, right? Your favorite segment, is it not?
Favorite segment of the day. Let's drop it on because it's Monday.
Cannot believe a fine woman like this produced a guy like Stifler. Dude! I took some MILF. What the hell is that? MILF.
Man, I love facts.
Yeah!
Hey guys,
All right, MILF Monday.
yeah,
All right. So
MILF
decided to
Monday.
go a little baseball. I know we started with baseball earlier, so we're going to end it with baseball. I know you kind of mentioned it
I
earlier.
wore my baseball shirt today. Did you see?
Yes, it did. Always the dimensions of the field. It's a sick shirt, dude. Sick shirt.
Pretty sick, right? Thanks,
So
man.
we decided to go
I
with.
felt we had the baseball topics and stuff.
Yeah,
so I wanted
exactly. And we
baseball.
talked about and mentioned a little bit of the time clock and how that's changed the game this year and everything. So this one is the stat you gave me
Yes.
last week about how the new baseball rules have changed the pace of play for baseball this year compared to like previous seasons. Now I know when this first was talked about being
crazy.
implemented in Major League Baseball, there was a lot of old school fans that were not against it. I even had a friend who's like kind of a baseball fan from work was like, dude, I'm gonna hate this game, the shot clock thing or whatever, blah blah. I told him, dude, by May you won't even notice it because a lot of these guys have been playing in the minors the last couple of years with it. So it's only the old vets that are going to take some time to figure it out. Very few people have had any issues. Yeah. And not only that, the fans have loved it. The attendance is up. The TV numbers are up. Everything is just going in the right direction. But one of the things I wanted to look at was, so this season so far, this is as of last week, so there's been a couple more games played. But this season so far, the percentage of 9-inning games that lasted more than 3 hours is 11%. Which, okay, that's not that bad. You think, okay, so it's obviously down from previous years with the clock being installed. But what was the year like? What was last year? Was last year like double? No, when you look at last year, it was 57% of 9-inning games were over 3 hours.
I was gonna say like 30%. That was gonna be my guess. So 50 what?
57. That's a decline of 46%. That's almost half the games of the season that are not over 3 hours anymore that were before. That is just an astronomical drop. And you look back further, they haven't been under 50% since 2015. And even then and then in 2015, it was 42. So it's been a really big issue for a long time. But now that this game clock has been installed, obviously it has been a good thing for the sport. And as a fan, I have absolutely loved every minute of it. I love that I know we talked about, we love the drawn out thing in the playoffs of everything taking so long. And I kind of hope in the playoffs we take the clock off or at least give them a couple extra seconds for that, for the dramatic part of it. But the regular season, there's 162 games. Let's get through these things. We already added somebody on second and extra innings to get the game done quicker. What's the game clock? What's the difference?
I like that.
It's been awesome.
Is that second runner on in the playoffs?
No, it's only the regular season. That's why I'm wondering if they'll do the same thing with the game clock. Like, okay, we do this in the regular season because there's a lot and we need to quick it up, but playoff time we kind of, or they can just add 5 seconds to the
clock. Get back to baseball.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just let it play.
Yeah, true. Just make it like you said. I like that idea. Yeah. Give them a little extra time, but still be able to enjoy that moment. That's a crazy stat, dude.
right? Okay, I knew.
I know we had the list on for the YouTube
years.
audience, so you could
Yeah, you
see
can see it on the side.
like all the years.
It's just I know it's been bad for a while, but to actually see the numbers now and see how bad it was compared to what it is now is like, I mean, 11%. It hasn't been below 11%. It's in like 20 some years on top of it. So it's been great.
Yeah, I think basically the lowest it was in that realm that we saw, which was about 20 years, was like 24%, 25%.
Yeah, and that was literally
so it's
20
even
years.
less than half of that.
Yeah, it's been great.
That's awesome. I kind of like it. I do like a regular season. It was nice. Honestly, dude, remember that game that we went to? I mean, I didn't even realize the game was going by. Like I was enjoying the game, we were watching the game, but we were just standing there having a beer or two with your dad and just chilling, talking. And I was like, oh shoot, ninth inning. All right. Well,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
nice,
dang,
cool,
Angels
nice,
are about to
cool.
win this game.
Head out. We still got a lot of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
It's pretty cool. I like the sped up. I like the sped up game a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely better. Definitely better.
Fingers crossed, no playoffs. So
we'll see what happens. MLB tends to screw it up, so they probably won't.
See what happens. Right? Yeah. So agreed. So what you got planned for the week then, dude?
Nothing this week. No concerts or events. I was supposed to work I think Pepe Aguilar this weekend, but that got postponed, I think. So nothing. And then it's we're gonna have a show on Friday, so I guess I'll be spending most of the week prepping for Friday's show. Oh, no, we don't.
Wrong. We have a freaking fantasy draft on Wednesday, bro.
Oh,
You better be
you're
there.
right.
8
I'll be there.
p.m. Don't forget, unless you want your team to be auto drafted, that's on
No,
you.
no,
Sometimes
you're right.
that's better,
You know
'cause
what?
sometimes
I
you don't
didn't
think it, but
I kind of forgot about that because we talked about it. We were gonna do
don't
it.
forget.
It's on Wednesday, and we normally do our prep anyway. So I was already gonna be on my computer on Wednesday in my mind. I'll be here. I'll be
pushed them
ready.
together.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be 2-1.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay, so then on Friday, I think that's what we should cover, dude. Let's cover the draft. We'll give our tips for a fantasy draft, although it's late. Obviously, fantasy season is over. You can save this for next year's fantasy draft. What we try to do to build a team. I know I normally am in the top. I went to the I went to the third place game last year. I lost in the semifinals. So
not bad.
I try to win as often as possible. I'm decent at this. So we'll give some tips and trips, or at least that work for us, and see what else.
Yeah, and then
I got nothing else besides that too.
We'll reveal our rosters, and maybe we'll even put up a poll and see if anybody can vote and see which roster is better of the two of our drafts.
I like that. Let's do that. 100%. We're doing that.
All right, I already picked my team.
Cool. All right, man. You already voted. You already created the poll, and you're already winning. And
I'm already up 100% to 0. So.
Dang! Wow, that was quick. I like it. So cool, man. Well, hey, to everybody out there, thanks for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. And like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.